So let's practice some questions on unemployment.
You're given a table and you're asked to find the unemployment rate. In numerical questions, you always start with the formula that you need to find. So the general formula here is the number of people unemployed over the labor force times 100. Now you check and see which ones you have and which ones you don't have. You know the number of people unemployed, but you don't know the labor force. So you need to use another formula. So write that down. That would be labor force equals employed plus unemployed. And we have these two numbers. So the people with jobs is the same as people employed. Plug that in, you're going to get a labor force of 5,500,000. Okay, now you can go back to your original formula, plug them in, and you're going to get 9.09.09, and it goes on forever, but we keep two decimal places here, and then you write a sentence of interpretation.
So here we're given some information about a city. We have the number of people not in the labor force, the people in the labor force, and then the employed people. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is write out the formulas that we need in order to calculate what we're asked to calculate, and then plug in the values as required. So let's start with A. We want to calculate the labor force participation rate. So the formula for that is just the labor force divided by the adult population. We're given the labor force, okay, it's 15,900. We don't know the adult population. There is a formula for calculating that. The adult population is just the labor force plus everybody outside of the labor force. So we have the labor force, we have the number of people not in the labor force. If we just add those numbers in, we'll get the adult population. Okay. Once we have the adult population, you plug that into your original formula, and then that's how you'll get your answer. So I'll let you figure that out, but that's how we approach these questions. Write out the formulas, figure out what you need. Sometimes there's an extra step involved, but you're just plugging numbers in.
Part B is about finding the unemployment rate. So you start with writing the formula, that's the number of people unemployed over the labor force times 100. Now we know the labor force, but we don't know the number of people unemployed. So we have to use another formula, and that was the labor force, which is employed plus unemployed. We have the two numbers that we need. So what we have to do is we have to move the employed to the other side so that we can have unemployed isolated, right? And when you move it to the other side, it becomes negative, right? So the number of people unemployed would be the labor force minus the people employed. You plug those numbers in and you should be able to find that out. So I'm going to let you guys punch that in to find it. Whatever you find, you go back to your original formula, you plug it in the numerator, and you punch that in to find the percentage of unemployment. Okay, it's important to write a sentence for interpretation. So for part A, that's cool. What you get is N% of the adults in this city are willing to have a job, and out of them, so many percent are not successful in finding a job, right? So notice that the second part is the interpretation of unemployment rate. The first one is the interpretation of labor force participation.